How's it going, guys? You know, recently we found out just how little privacy we have left online, especially with a certain social media site revealing that they just handed out loads of personal info to other companies without your consent. But it isn't the only problem. There are plenty of other ways your information is being collected every single day in ways that you've never suspected. So that's what we're going to try and fix today by going over ways that certain people can harvest your information and things you can do to stop it. Now, before we jump in, I want to give a big thanks to the sponsor of this video, NordVPN, which I'll also be using in some examples in this video. A VPN service is one of the best ways you can maximize your privacy and security, so it will be a big part of what we'll be talking about in this video anyway. And I definitely say that NordVPN is among the best because I've found it to be more user-friendly than others, and it has some pretty neat features I haven't seen in most other VPNs, such as special anti-DDoS servers, double VPN servers, and even peer-to-peer servers for things like torrenting. So I'll put a link in the description where you can check that out, and just for you guys, there will be a coupon code so you can get 77% off a 3-year deal by going to nordvpn.com/Joe. Alright, so first I think we should go over who exactly you need to watch out for in the first place in terms of privacy. Information is valuable, and there are a lot of different entities that can profit from it with varying degrees of maliciousness. First off, we have websites themselves. This doesn't just include social media sites, but basically every website out there. With social media, it's pretty obvious what they do, which is take all the information you give them, whether that's from your profile or posts you make, and then turn around and sell all of that to advertisers. But the other websites aren't safe either, because most of them can track your browsing habits through other ways. For example, an advertising network will put a cookie in your browser when you visit one website, and then will be able to track you across every other website you visit that also uses that ad network. And because there are only a handful of ad networks that all websites use, it's very easy for them to see almost all of your browsing history. And if you thought that was bad enough, what if I told you that many internet service providers, yes, the companies that you pay to access the internet, also track you for advertising purposes, and in some cases even inject ads into your internet connection onto websites that wouldn't have been there otherwise. And I mean, why wouldn't they? They're a company looking to turn a profit, so if there is no law forbidding it, you can expect that's what they'll do. Before you get too concerned, I should point out that yes, there are things you can do to protect yourself against tracking from these websites and even your ISP that we'll get into in a bit. Some of you clever viewers have already probably guessed one of the ways is obviously a VPN like NordVPN, and you're right. But before we get into solutions, let's quickly finish up with 2 more groups that just love to steal your personal info. Now, no surprise, one of those groups are malicious hackers, but believe it or not, they are actually the easiest to defend against, so we won't have to spend too much time on them. Common sense, like keeping your software up to date, running an antivirus, can pretty much thwart any of that issue. The final entity, though, is possibly the scariest, which is the government itself. You might be thinking, well, how is that the scariest? Well, consider this. With companies, at least you know what their goal is: profit. They want to find out as much information about you as they can and then sell you stuff. Maybe a little bit creepy, but not necessarily malicious. The government, on the other hand, well, you can't really be sure what they want. They just collect as much information as they can for the sake of it. And by the way, I hope everyone realizes that based on what we've learned from reports over the last decade, that the government, at least in the US, is likely intercepting and storing everything everyone does online. Like seriously, everything. It's not even a conspiracy at this point, but it's easy to forget as we go about our day. Alright, now enough doom and gloom, let's talk about some real solutions to all this. In the case of governments, ISPs, and hackers intercepting your data, the answer is actually rather simple. Encrypt everything. Someone can capture whatever data they want, but if it's encrypted, that information is totally useless. And that's exactly what a VPN does if you're not familiar with them already. With a VPN, you're essentially sending all your information through an encrypted tunnel from your computer, so nobody along the way can intercept it and read it. Not hackers, not the government, not even your internet service provider itself. And even websites you visit won't be able to see your real IP address, only the IP address of the VPN server. Plus, because you're using the same VPN server IP address as so many other users, you're totally anonymous. Let me show you an example so you can see exactly what I mean. So here we're using NordVPN like I talked about before, and we can pick any of these servers in any country and it will instantly change our IP address and look like we're in that country. And this is just the simplified view. There are actually multiple servers for each country you can pick yourself if you want to get that specific. We can switch servers and countries as much as we want, and we can see here that the IP address changes every time. The way it works is any connections you want to make are first encrypted and then sent to NordVPN servers. Then your connection is made at the other end of this tunnel, as you can think of it. So going back to the privacy topic, this means that websites, search engines, the government, or whoever else won't be able to track your behavior. Or even if you're on a school or work network, they can't spy on you and see what you're doing. And another important thing I should mention is that you definitely want to make sure that the VPN service you use does not keep logs, or else, who knows, the government could show up and then get your data that way. And NordVPN does not keep logs, so that is perfect. By the way, as you can imagine, there are other benefits to using a VPN as well. For example, if there are geo restrictions for certain streaming content you want to watch, which means that they're blocked in your country, a VPN could be used to get around that. And if your ISP is known to throttle certain content, this can prevent that because they can't see what you're doing. Plus, when it comes to the advertiser tracking and hackers, NordVPN even has a feature called CyberSec, which can filter all that out. So really, all your bases would be covered. All right, now another thing I should tell you about, which you may not even have known existed, are so-called super cookies, which may be used by your ISP. If you've never heard of them before, that's because internet companies have done their best to hide them, hoping no customers would notice. And this is one of the ways that they may track you without your knowledge, but luckily ISPs are typically required to have a way to opt out. This is going to vary depending on who your internet service provider is, but deep in your account settings page for your ISP, they usually have an option for advertising and privacy. And this also goes for your cell provider. You should check them too. Another good place to start is the privacy policy link at the bottom of your ISP or cell carrier's website, which should almost always have information on how to opt out of things, though you're likely still going to have to dig through it a bit. For example, here, look, my carrier has a link to opt out of all sorts of tracking. Look at this, relevant advertising, online behavioral advertising, and if you click through that, there's even a thing called enhanced relevant advertising. I mean, what on earth does that even mean? But the big daddy of information tracking you want to watch out for has the suspiciously boring name CPNI, which stands for Customer Proprietary Network Information. In simpler terms, it's basically all the information the company has about you, including any info you use to sign up, such as name and address, plus how you use their network, which in the case of cell phone companies is basically every phone call you make, timestamps, call duration, destination, and loads of other stuff. It's likely that both your ISP and phone company track this type of info. However, I believe that they are required by law, at least in the USA, to allow you to opt out, but that doesn't mean they'll make it easy. What you can do is simply do a search for your company name, CPNI, and that should get you to where you need to be to opt out. But remember, there's other info they may be tracking, so definitely dig through your account settings and look at the privacy policy, because in my case, the links hidden in the privacy policy were not anywhere else in my account settings. So yeah, there's a lot more you need to do to maintain your privacy than you may have thought, but it can be done. The companies definitely hide away your options, hoping you'll never notice. And as I've said multiple times already, a VPN is another really important tool to have, which is why I was happy when NordVPN sponsored this video. That service has a lot more features beyond the scope of just this video's topic, so I'd suggest you check it out. Just a couple cool examples are the specialty servers they offer, such as the anti-DDoS servers, peer-to-peer servers for torrenting, double VPN if you want to have just the maximum encryption possible, and even a unique kind called onion over VPN. and that actually allows you to access the Onion router without having to download the special Tor software, which I think is pretty awesome. In any case, I hope you guys found this video helpful. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Like, maybe you know of other great ways to protect your privacy that I didn't mention, that companies don't want you to know. And if you want to keep watching, I'll put some other videos right here. And if you want to subscribe, I make new videos every week. So it should be worth it. I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.